Welcome everyone. Walt Schomborn here, Director of Digital Media at ScienceBoard.net, and I'm extremely pleased to have Sven Kili here, CEO of Antion Biosciences, also 2022 ISCT annual meeting co-chair, if I'm not mistaken.
You are absolutely correct. Thank you, Walt. It's great to be with you.
It's great having you, Sven, and I appreciate you coming in here. And I want to talk to you both on the ISCT side with your responsibilities there. And by the way, the event has been fantastic. Engagement has been great, and it's great to actually have ISCT back in person again. It's been a few years, and I know that everyone, both from the science and from the sponsorship side, from really all facets of it, have been really impressed with it. So congratulations to you and the team for putting on a fantastic event this year.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's been really interesting and exciting. You know, the ISCT head office team have really been absolutely amazing. As you know, it's probably the first in many years of only in person, and so we didn't really offer a remote option.
Right.
And so we've really tried to encourage people to come out. And so, you know, it has been a little challenging at times, but I think given the attendance we've got and the feedback we've had so far, and I think also changing the way we have constructed the meeting, we've had some very positive feedback. And personally, I've been to some amazing sessions. I think the only concern I have is that there's too much good stuff happening simultaneously.
Yes.
So I've got to get that self-replication system going so that I can be in 3 places at once.
Well, there you go. I mean, it is better to have too much of a good thing, and I know that everyone's been extremely pleased with the outcomes. So I'm going to pivot over to Antion for a little bit, if that's all right.
Absolutely.
And I know from perception from mine, as well as people from our audience, look at Antion as an early research business, really pioneering in miRNA technology, and you've gone proof of concept for multimodal gene silencing and allogeneic CAR T cell models, preclinical trials. What is the potential for your staple, which I believe is your miCAR technology? I wanted to get some more insights onto that.
Absolutely. So yeah, thanks very much for that, Walt. So the miCAR platform is really a new way of approaching allogeneic cell creation. And so as we are moving into allogeneic cell therapies, as they're getting better and there's a lot more promise in them, we're noticing that you have to multiplex the cells a lot more. So you have to make more changes to the cells. So at the moment, the average group is making 3, maybe 4 changes to the cells, and that's to take away some of the immunity, to provide some form of immunocamouflage, things like that. Mm-hmm. And the gold standard, which really is the gold standard, is editing. Doesn't matter which type of editing is the great way to go. But what we are seeing more and more is that as you make more edits, so 3, 4 and upwards, editing starts having some challenges associated with it. There's more risk of translocations, more risk of cell death, and challenges around that. Right. The manufacturing becomes fairly complex. You have to multiply select and expand cells, which may contribute to exhaustion of the cells, et cetera, et cetera. And so really the miCAR platform allows us to move beyond gene editing into an ability to silence up to 6 different genes and add a CAR or a TCR, all within a single construct in a single transduction step. So what this does is makes incredibly powerful cells in a very simple, easy way, which has a much higher or much lower cost of goods, but a much higher ability to have quality cells. And we're able to do this at a very high efficiency. And so we're starting out with our proof of concept showing the miCAR platform's use in T cells, in creating allogeneic T cells. And so our first indication is starting in T cell malignancies, which is a very challenging form of cancer, of liquid cancer, because you're actually trying to kill the cells that you're using as your weapon.
Right.
And so this presents a number of challenges which our technology is very well suited for. But naturally the progression will then also be into the solid tumor space, where we were able to change the cells and manipulate the cells much more efficiently. And so also compared to editing, where you can either silence a gene or it's there. It's sort of a binary, it's on or off.
Right.
The miCAR platform allows us to actually tune the degree of expression. So we can detune expression of certain receptors and silence others completely. And this is all down to how we design each microRNA. And the design actually happens all in silico. Each specific target is designed individually within a system called the Antion design system. And this allows us to be very, very specific as to how we design these constructs. And what that allows us to do is make them be incredibly specific so we don't have off-target effects. And within that in silico system, we're actually able to test them against the entire genome to ensure that we don't have off-target effects. So this gives us a huge amount of flexibility in being able to rapidly design new constructs. And because everything's modular, we just plop the new ones in and we can go and test them from there. So it becomes very, very efficient, very easy to iterate as we need to get the results that we absolutely need.
Yeah.
And so as we think about that, we can move on beyond even oncology approaches into immunology approaches, things like that. And then you start thinking about universal donor cells, thinking about iPSCs as a starting material are very complex. But here you've got a technology that you can very rapidly prototype into the cell type that you want. And so it becomes far more cost effective, far more rapid to create your final cell type as opposed to going through an iPSC route or anything like that. So we're really only starting to scratch the surface. We're a small team, and so we have to be very specific and measured in what we do. But we're also showing that this works in other cell types. So we're not just limited to T cells. We can do NK cells, macrophages, and others like that.
And no matter what cell work you're doing, I think that it always comes down to efficiencies. And it sounds like with the miCAR technology that you're actually being able to bring those efficiencies into play. Completely,
because we only also have one transduction step, and we don't have to manipulate the cells a lot. We're not selecting, activating, etc., etc. We're able to shorten that manufacturing time. That means we're also manipulating the cells a lot less, so they're being exhausted a lot less, and that's going to have huge implications from a regulatory perspective and obviously from a cost of goods perspective.
So, previously I'd known from Antion's pipeline, you had previously been focused on, curing challenging cancer indications and HIV and sensory disorders with simple and easy to administer cell therapies. But I think that you've kind of pivoted and gone in a different direction since then. What are the next steps for Antion?
Yeah, so the next steps for us is we were incredibly excited at the beginning of this year to announce a strategic collaboration with Allogene Therapeutics, and I know we'll talk about that in a moment. And so this has really allowed us to focus down and say, right now, from our seed perspective, we have a number of deliverables. We are very early on, and so what we have said we will do is we will finalize that proof of concept in the miCAR platform. We'll show that it works in vivo, and so we've got a number of in vivo mouse studies ongoing and planned for this year that will show not only can we prevent graft versus host, but we can prevent rejection and we can have perfectly immune camouflaged cells. We'll also be showing that this works in other cell types, as I've already mentioned, and we are also in the process of designing our first constructs for our first indication. And so that's really going to take us through to the end of the year. And at that stage, we'll be then raising funds again for our Series A, which will take us through into the clinic with the first indication. But in the meantime, we have a couple of other indications that we're developing with some partners.
So I want to come back to the Allogene thing in a second. I want to pivot back to your with ISCT here. I know last year you guys had presented preclinical data on the gene silencing capabilities of your therapeutic mini-gene construct. But I guess in my notes, I'm looking here and I'm seeing that we spoke about miCAR earlier, But what are you presenting this year for ISCT?
Yeah, so this year is kind of a step on from that. So last year and previously, when the company was initially formed, it was formed out of thinking about using microRNAs in the HIV space.
Right.
And so that's where a lot of the initial work came from and the genesis of the company. And so we had some good information around that, and so we used a lot of that to leverage the platform. But as we've seen this incredible need in the oncology space and decided that that's probably where we're able to show the platform's power and also get the first few indications. As you've said, we've really pivoted to that. And so we're very, very excited this year to be able to show the first time constructs with 6 different genes silenced with a CAR, and we're using a CD19 CAR, so nothing fancy or special, but a really good CAR. And we're able to show not only can we silence all 6 of those genes, but the CAR is still effective, still has very high killing, and is perhaps slightly better than the reference for this particular CAR. So we've been able to show really that the platform works, but also it becomes an efficacious product theoretically. So we're incredibly excited about the data.
Yeah, I think that's incredible when you think about that, and the applications, I think, are you touched on it earlier. The applications can work in several different targeted modalities as well. So that's really exciting stuff. Coming back to collaborations, and
Yes.
one of the best things about ISCT, about CGT in general, has been a lot of the collaborations and companies working together. And you had already mentioned Allogene with your collaboration. Can you give us some of the details on that collaboration specifically?
I can give a few minor details, obviously with the caveat
Yes.
that Allogene is a public company, and so obviously we can only say so much. I think the important thing was what we noticed when we were going out and we were talking to people was the people who are actually in the allogeneic cell therapy space that are doing multiple edits were the ones, when we explained the technology, you could sort of see the scientists sit there and go, aha, this is it. And so that was incredibly exciting. When Allogene engaged with us, we engaged with their scientific team, and they have an absolutely brilliant team, and they have some real experts. And even though it was in the midst of COVID and we were on the other side of the world on Zoom, you could see the lights go off, and people were saying, hang on, this really has an opportunity. And so we've got a multi-year collaboration with them. The goal here is that we will help them form their new next generation allogeneic platform. And so we are building constructs for them for their next generation platform. In addition to this, and I'm incredibly excited, they've also invested in Antion, and we have one of the senior members of Allogene sitting on our board.
Oh, that's excellent.
And so this is absolutely incredible. I think it brings a grown-upness to the company. It allows us to work really efficiently with them, and having them invested in the company is just an absolute dream. And so we'll work with them for a number of years, and obviously there are milestones, and then obviously royalty payments going out. So we're incredibly excited. We actually just had our first face-to-face meeting with them earlier this week.
That's awesome.
And it was an absolute treat. It was all the science people got together.
Hey, I know you.
Exactly. Yeah, I've seen you somewhere before. But actually meeting in 3D,
Yeah.
and meeting with their scientific team was such a treat.
Yeah.
And even though I didn't understand a lot of the big words, you could see them getting together, and it was brilliant. And it's been a phenomenal collaboration. So we're really excited as to what it's going to yield.
Well, Sven, I want to thank you again for sitting down. Congratulations. The trajectory for Antion is clearly upwards and going quickly. And also, with your involvement in ISCT, just from your own personal perspective, has done extremely well. So you're in a win-win here coming in this week. And again, I very much appreciate you sitting down with us and sharing the Antion story with our audience at scienceboard.net. So thank you.
Thanks very much, Walt. It's been an honor.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Guys, we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.